So congratulations, you've reached an interview, which is a big win, so make sure to celebrate that. Now let's make sure that the interview goes smoothly. You're going to get through it and give yourself the biggest chance to actually get that role by the end of it. So the truth is, companies don't always hire the most talented and most experienced person. They'll hire the one who connects the most with their business and what their needs are. So it's really important that we understand what they're looking for and we're able to connect with them and convert that into a role. So in this video, I'm going to go through how to exactly do that as a community manager. And so you start like seeming like a strategic leader that you are. So the first step is pre-interview prep. Now it sounds pretty obvious. I'm sure you know that you should do this, but the amount of people who don't do this is insane. And I genuinely believe it makes a massive, massive difference to how well the interview will go. Not only are you coming in with a lot more confidence, and if you're confident yourself, they are much more likely to be confident in you, but also just saying the right things and the things they want to hear, so you sound like you're going to solve their specific problem. So before the interview, this may sound obvious, but you've got to look at the job description again. Now, the amount of people who don't do this, and it can really affect your confidence coming in, and it really affects your ability to actually understand what they're looking for, which is the whole reason why a company would probably, would hire someone, because they're exactly what they're looking for, and they actually empathize and they actually understand what the business wants, right? So we can't do that unless we actually look at the job description again. So the first thing you're gonna do is identify the reason that they are hiring, and you're gonna do that through the job description, but also through look at the website, explore the community they have or they don't have, explore everything that you think that is relevant and understand and research about that company. Look through their website, their platform, and identify why you want to work with them. In the interview, you also, as well as want to come across with your experience and your value, you want to show them why you specifically want to work for them. And whether I just need a job is not going to be the best answer they're looking for. If you're able to connect with them and make them feel like you want to work for them, that will give you a good edge. And they may even ask you why do you want to work for us? So it's good to have that ready when they ask. So now that we've read through that job description, read through the website, and we have an understanding of what they're actually looking for, maybe what their pain points as a business may be and why they might want a community. Next, we want to identify what questions might you be asked. So copy and paste that description which you have read, and you've actually read, not just relying on AI to read that for you, but copy and paste it into an AI and ask it to generate some questions that are likely to ask you. Now, it will create some basic or ask it to challenge you, some interview questions. And this is a really good way, if you haven't got anyone else to practice with, to actually hit those points out loud. Do it out loud and try and hit those points and what they're actually looking for. And remember to always use your examples and try and relate to what they're actually looking for at that type of company. Not just generic examples. Think, okay, what are they looking for? What type of company are they? So which examples are best going to relate to them? Make sure to use a value-driven formula to come across as what you've done and what impact you actually created, so they can imagine working for you and they can imagine the results that you actually bring them, not just someone who sits there and just does random things. And if you want that idea of how to separate yourself and become valuable, I have done a video on that recently, which you can find here. And it will show you how to come across valuable and how to structure that. So the next step is how you come across and the green flags and red flags that are more subtle. So we've kind of covered make sure you come across as strategic and valuable, and I've given you that video there to see how you do that. But also there are hidden kind of body language and just ways we communicate which can really hurt our chances. And one of those things are using non-committal language. So make sure you don't say, we did this, we did this, we did this. Make sure you say, I did this in my previous role. I led this, I took this initiative, because at the end of the day, they're not hiring your whole team or department that you were a part of in the past. They're hiring you. So how did you bring that? So make sure that you use that commit and confident language. But also, talking too much can be a massive red flag. If you don't come across you are actually respectful of their time and you don't get to the point. I don't mean you have to get really, really, really blunt, of course, but there are a lot of community managers who have a lot of experience and they struggle to pinpoint like what point are they actually making here. So go in there with a goal in your head, like, okay, I'm going to try and in this question, get to this point and this is the most relevant, and establish what that is in your head first. And don't give that red flag of just talking a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, and just for a really long time. This does happen. And then making them feel like you don't respect that time. And that's an example of kind of a red flag that's nothing to do about what you say, it's kind of to do with what you're doing. Now, once you've gotten through that, you understand, you're prepared, you understand how to really come across with that value and how to reply. You can empathize and connect with their business. Now, like, what questions are you going to ask them? Like, an interview is not just a one-sided thing. You can ask them questions back. And a really great one that you can ask is if I were starting tomorrow, what would be the first problem that I would tackle? And that can imagine kind of put you in their head to imagine you in the role, but also get a sense of like what's the most burning thing that they want right now. And you can even utilize that, even not necessarily just at the end. A lot of the time we have room for questions at the end, but if it's more of a conversation, you're able to fit that earlier on. You could potentially use that to your advantage. So instead of just guessing what they want, you could use what they actually need and what they actually want, what they've told you that they want, to then understand how to better structure your answers and how to connect with them. And the last tip is remember that the person who's hiring you is a human at the end of the day. You can potentially connect with them too. And you can ask questions about them too. Like, how are you liking at the company? Or if they're a founder, why did you start this company? Remember that they're a human too. And if you connect with them, sometimes they can higher up your chances of them connecting with you and potentially giving you the role. It is so important as a community manager to be able to connect with them and also as the business and what it needs, because it can be a struggle for community managers to really explain like what impact they'll give, because it's different per business. So you need to take the time to really understand the business and what it is and what they do, to really connect with them, because you're going to be delivering different strategies depending on the business. So that's why it's so important for you as a community manager to do that right from the beginning. And even better if you can ask them face to face, like, what are your issues? What are your problems? What do you want solved? Because then you don't have to guess. You actually know they've told it to you. So if you want to get more interviews, you want to get more roles, I've created a quiz for you can find in the description, and it will give you a roadmap to find more roles, to get more roles, get more opportunities. Make sure to follow the steps in this video before you go into the interview. Make sure to do that research, go in there confidently, and remember that if you're confident in yourself, they're much more likely to be confident in you.